Captain, this way to the Enterprise.
Lead on.
Captain, the crew is ready.
Excellent. Let's board.
Hey everyone, Ronald Ingram here, your rebel banker futurist, broadcasting live right now from the Nevada high desert, looking down on the Luxor Pyramid. We're going out on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and everywhere else the signal reaches. So today, this is a big one. XPRIZE Hackathon entry this weekend incoming. Thank you, Dave, for calling this out. This is a pretty big deal, a $2 million prize for a program, a project, and I'll explain a little bit about this. A project that hits one of these parameters. So I won't go through them all, but the all AI based projects, all money, and one of the 6 categories that they're looking for projects in, and this is sponsored by the XPRIZE Foundation. So actually the same organization that I'm participating in on the health span XPRIZE for the $101 million health span. So that I'm familiar with this organization, we're now entering. This is big news. We're entering this hackathon, this $2 million prize, for a $2 million prize that closes August 19th, I believe. So August 17th. So the timing is just perfect. If we, but I had to read the rules very carefully. Actually, I posted right away after I saw this. I looked quickly through, and looks like we meet all the criteria in spades. So this could be a really exciting adjunct and completely aligned, not a pivot. In fact, it actually requires us to focus even more narrowly on BROK, which is what we're aiming for anyway, the July 24th launch of BROK, which I now may actually accelerate. We'll keep the official launch, and thanks everyone for the really cool memes that are coming out. Cranial Factor, Lark, really cool stuff that Spock stars are producing for including the clip that I just played at the very beginning of the Spock talk today. Really cool stuff, and we'll keep that countdown going. And we're less than 3 weeks away from the official full launch of BROK on July 24th as scheduled. But now we're going to try to accelerate the timetable even more, and here's why. In fact, I'm this close to was hoping that we would launch even today to start generating revenue today. Now we are generating revenue, but not from Spock or not from BROK yet. So for this, let me keep this really focused on what we need to, on what I've learned about the contest rules and what we need to do to win this prize, and what this means to every Spock holder. So first off, what it means to every Spock holder is any winnings that we get are going to go into Spock, into BROK development for the project overall, including adding to the treasury. So this all will directly impact and affect and benefit every Spock holder in every way. Not to mention access to the utility itself, which everyone will have preferential. Everyone who's a Spock holder right now, or becomes a Spock holder in the next few days. I'll provide more on the rules, but get in and get your Spock right away if you haven't already. Anyone that's watching this that maybe isn't a Spock holder, get on board. Get on board now, and not investment advice. This is investment activism. Okay, so do your own research, and I'm excited, but we keep the hype down. So the rules of the game here for this XPRIZE Hackathon contest. There are these different categories. Small business services. We actually kind of hit all the categories, so we have to pick one. So we're going to pick money and financial access. This is because that's most closely correlated with BROK, the super robo genius banker. So I've already started registration. Now I was actually hoping to be registered and announce registration on this call. However, going through the registration, which is just before I hit send, I see that they want to see our GitHub commit. So before I've uploaded that code that we're going to be judged on, I wanted to do another review of it and make sure it's well documented and not just functional. So that's one thing that changes here with this entry in this project. I'll have to do more documentation of all the coding that we're doing. And so that's just good. That's good for the project, good practice overall, and good for continuity. So no problem there, just a tiny bit more work, but BROK is helping me more and more all the time as we amp up his horsepower or his FTE power. So that's no problem at all, but that's one thing that we'll have to do. So also in this XPRIZE is Google. Google is part of, I'm not sure who's putting up the money or if it's partnership, but so that's good because Gemini Pro is part of my stack. Now, one rule, so I want to bring this up early in the call so that everyone listening is kind of aware of this slight adjustment in the focus. Not really much, and for the better, I think, is the rules of this game of this contest are that the project it can't be an existing project. It has to be a new project, and so that's no problem at all. But the start date for the project is May 19th. So anything that was started before May 19th doesn't exactly qualify. However, BROK is clearly legitimately not fully launched yet, right? So the term of the competition is May 19th to August 17th. And we're scheduled to launch July 24th, when we would start having real paying customers for BROK. So, and this contest is project specific and it's AI specific. So BROK appears to be a perfect match. And I run it through BROK, and BROK agrees. This is the perfect matchup for us. So the focus will be on even more so on BROK, and keeping in mind that everything that we do for BROK is building on Spock and is powered by Spock, but this is a very distinct project. BROK is a very distinct project that has not launched yet, so it actually ends up being perfect for this contest. So that is going to be, so we'll be continually focused on BROK, and by no later than Thursday, I expect you to be able to, and this will be key. I'm building the wallet. I'm launching, and would have launched the wallet today, and the wallet includes the ability to pay with just a regular credit card to buy Spock, send Spock, gift Spock, to just with a and purchase it just with a credit card. No, not the usual advanced extensive KYC. know your customer requirements, it's just a standard. You're buying tokens for a tech, for utility, for utilities purpose, that are also happen to have happen to be fungible and convertible into Bitcoin or cash or any other currency. So and therefore, as a digital asset, they also have the ability to increase in value, which is what attracted people to SPOK in the first place on Pump Fund. So we'll be focusing on the utility, and we'll be focusing on the wallet. And so one of the ways that we can really drive adoption is doing what you would normally do, buying SPOK, but buying it, doing a buy on with your credit card. Basically, in this case, you're buying tokens to for access to BROK, and everyone's going to have some freebies and incentives as a promise, and those rules are all going to be clearly defined. But the earlier you get in, the better. Let me just say that. So, but I'm not hyping or tying this together. This is just the way the model has always been, is that SPOK is a utility token that provides access to not only BROK, but to the Ingram evaluation matrix, now the bio age calculator, and other features. So that, hopefully that's clear. I'll make that even more clear as we go forward. The next scheduled SPOK Talk is Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific time, but I may interrupt your week. Oh, yeah. And happy 4th of July, everybody. Wow. Happy 4th of July. And that's, this project is so perfectly aligned with the theme. That's why I'm having it on 4th of July. Not that I don't recognize and appreciate holidays, quite the opposite. I think this is a freedom project. This is emancipation of our money. This is about self-sovereignty, about privacy, about security, about inverting the banking system, which is controlled centrally out of a little country in Europe, that control where which happens to be where the seats at the high table all are located, and where 6 people basically guide the future of monetary policy indirectly and banking directly, all central banks in the world. So we are trying to invert that system, and in general, philosophically, we're all about self-sovereignty, but specifically, we're about financial self-sovereignty and owning our own assets. It's our money is our money. It's not the government's money. It's nobody else's business. It's our business. It's our money. It's our assets, and that's what we're trying to achieve here with our global agentic banking system and all the pieces that we're working on, which are all represented, and the face of is represented by BROK, the interface that is so simple that anyone can talk to it. A kid could talk to it. A advanced, sophisticated trader on Wall Street can talk to it and get all the levels of expertise required, from beginner and novice to highly advanced super robo genius banker levels. So that's what we're about, and so freedom, emancipation of our money, and just as in the origins of America and the Tea Party, and it was really a lot of wars and a lot of revolutions they're often the social, cultural, ideological, philosophical stakes are really our window dressing of what is fundamentally a money and monetary situation. So some major wars, I won't get into politics today, but major wars in America, some say, were more about the money, and specifically taxation, which is government taking your money from you, some would argue illegally, and if not illegally, unfairly. The government works for us. So did we ask the government to pay taxes? Probably many people are trained now to think that, well, yeah, government should, I want to pay taxes. Incredibly. I'm sure that if you probably put it to a vote and said, how many people would like to never pay taxes again? We would be surprised. It would probably be divided along political lines, and probably a large swath of the population would say, I want to pay taxes, and because they've been trained to think that that's a good thing. There's other ways, and they're trained to think that that's the only way that we can have social benefits and social contracts and look after the so-called disadvantaged, which is BROK is going to give some categories of so-called disadvantaged people superpowers. That's also part of the really exciting part about BROK, and that's something that that's going to be emphasized in this as I put the package together for this XPRIZE, this $2 million XPRIZE competition that I think we have got a good shot at. So the one thing really that prevented me from completing registration today was the GitHub commits and getting all of that out. But and as soon as that's done, concurrently, we'll start making more public announcements, more press releases. Well, we haven't done any press releases yet. We haven't really done any real announcements yet. We've had one press article, which by the Daily Coin, which I posted before and posted again in response to the next thing I'm going to talk about. Okay, but for clarity, the big news today is that we are stepping up the rollout. So there's going to be soft launches, opportunities to participate and buy and register for BROK even ahead of the official July 24th launch. And I will maybe even do like a short little live stream or something just to alert everybody. It's like, hey, we're up, we're live, register, get going. So we can, because one of the things that we're measured on is I don't want to put too much emphasis on the GitHub, right? That's just a small thing. That's not key at all. What is key is traction and utility. So BROK needs to work well, and we need to show engagement, which we've got a good base, separate in a way, separate compartments, right? But BROK is powered by SPOC. So that's why intentionally we built SPOC first, the first machine-to-machine token designed with X402 capability, quantum resilience, and the MBC20 protocol designed by machines for machines, actually. So there's a little, in the light paper, there's a section that was actually written by BROK for the machines and to read. It's kind of interesting to read. Remember back a few months with all the buzz about Claudebook and or Clawbook and the OpenClaw and the social media platform for OpenClaw and for autonomous AI agents. So we're in there. We're in that community, and agents are already aware of BROK, waiting for BROK. So that's a whole angle that we've talked about, or not BROK. Yeah, BROK really, and SPOC. So we've talked about from the beginning that SPOC is designed for this, and that we've made the we have the code embedded. We've tagged it. It's ready, visible, and available for machines to start interacting with and transacting with before July 24th as well. So that's always been part of the plan, and now we're going to be stepping that up, and but the key thing what we're going to be judged on is like first off we have to hit the category, right? We've hit the category exactly perfectly, right? So in the money and financial access, that is exactly what BROK is intended to do. We also provide professional financial services access and small business services, and utility across all the categories really. But the money and financial access is the one that we're focused on for this contest. So as soon as you're able to, because what they'll be judging on are receipts. So and looking at our actual Stripe account, and I've set up with Stripe already, and so there's going to be a new website that you're going to see in the next couple of days. Maybe it'll be just a page. I've already built the page. I haven't decided whether it gets its own URL yet or is an adjunct to the Neo. Actually, probably thinking about the contest rules. So it's perfect because we're still at that stage where we can tweak things to perfectly fit. So probably quite a fairly standalone URL for BROK, where you can access and communicate with BROK and see the bio calculator and the tools and interact and buy top-up tokens. So that's what we're going to be measured on is people buy, and that's good that we have a large number of the 1,000 or so people that have purchased SPOK so far. That's a really good base to work with, and we want to keep expanding that today, hopefully, and every day. And when these press releases start rolling out in the days ahead, definitely before Thursday, the first one, we'll want to get those numbers even further up, and we've solved that initial pain point of newbies onboarding, or we will have with the very next stage. So people will be able to just buy with a credit card, a debit card, very easily buy their BROK tokens, which is SPOK, right? So that's in a nutshell, I think, kind of describes what we're the big news that we're focused on. I'm pretty excited about, and thanks so much, Dave, for calling that out. I think I had never realized, I had heard about it, but I'd never realized what a perfect fit it was until Dave called it out. So good job, Dave. And so the next thing, and actually this is also, Dave's been a super SPOK star this last week, calling out that we're on Jupiter, but not verified by Jupiter. And Jupiter is a source of truth for many other wallets and platforms. And just like we're on CoinGecko, but we're not, and we still have flags, right? So we're down to 2 flags, which I've addressed, and one of them is this thing that has come up a couple of times. So I just want to address it. Sometimes when machines look at SPOK, they see a concentration of wallets and think that the liquidity is concentrated or the trading is concentrated among wallets that are controlled by us somehow. And that's not by me somehow. And that's not the case. But it has that appearance because of the sharing is caring program. So we've given out small bags, 1,000 to 5,000 SPOK, early days before we were even over, like we started out, we were hanging out at 60,000 market cap. Yeah, 60,000 market cap for quite a few weeks at the very beginning of this project. So 5,000 SPOK was less than $1. And so with that, initially the sharing and caring program, we were giving out what were small bags there, which would be larger bags now. Now we've decreased, but we've given out dozens of these small amounts, but they're completely independent, unaffiliated wallets. It may be friends in some case because of bringing a lot of newbies on, but they're all independent. It's all their own. They all have their own self-sovereignty and make their own decisions and choices. So that's just pretty easy to call out. So I just let Jupiter know that that's the case, and because they're because that's flagged on every platform, that this illusion of concentration that's not real. So I saw somebody, so enough on that. That's what that is, and it's just our sharing and caring program is unique, totally legit, safe, and that's part of the reason that we do it. Part of the reason we do it is for safety. For newbies, especially who never had a wallet, in many cases, they were being fooled, or the risk of being fooled into buying fake SPOCs. I don't think we've lost anybody to fake SPOCs since since the first few days, because we often have implemented this program. So we actually give people a tiny bit of SPOC so they know that they have the right one in their wallet, and then add to their position from there. Especially for newbies, we were doing that. So it's for their own safety to make sure that they get and purchase the right token. Now, all of this is going to be addressed with the rollout of our own, I say wallet in brackets, okay, because it's not a typical wallet in the crypto sense. But it's a mechanism for being able to buy and utilize spot tokens with a credit card, without the crazy limits that banks were imposing, often $500 a week maximums and all that kind of thing that we experienced, and really put a damper. Even though we would have easily surpassed 10 million already if we hadn't had that been knocked down, because a lot of people persevered to when they wanted to put in thousands of dollars and could only put in $500, they put in the 500, and then they maybe put in another 500. But it's like you got to strike while the iron is hot for people, right? They don't, people are busy, and when they're focused on SPOC and get it and understand it and want to participate, the last thing you want to do, as anybody that's in marketing knows, the last thing you want to do is throw obstacles in their way. I think that is slowing the growth of the whole industry. So what we're engineering and experimenting with here is a benefit for us. We'll be at the front of the line, at the front of the queue, benefiting. But there will be others that follow, but it's and to the benefit of the industry and ourselves, because we're if you're with us on SPOC, you're always going to be ahead of the curve. That's always been the way it has been with me at the very early stages of new things. So the very earliest stages of online banking, when the very earliest stages of digital, the first digital commerce version 1, which was just acceptance of credit cards like PayPal. I was actually a partner with PayPal in its early days and expanding into different countries. So that's that we've got we'll tend to always be ahead. The reason that July 24th is the launch was set months ago as the date that BROK would have to launch is because that's the birthday of my very first conversational agent, my very, very first AI agent. It was BuddhaBot 22 years ago. So way ahead of what the technology was capable of generating. But it was, even then, the BuddhaBot was quite entertaining and had subscribers from all around the world. And I just retired it, but it's still alive and well. And a lot of the code and a lot of the learnings from BuddhaBot are baked into BROK. So in a way, BROK, although it's launching on July 24th officially. It's kind of like the child of Buddhabot and Spock. Buddhabot and Spock had let's leave that metaphor alone. And but that's kind of fun. So BROK is launching. BROK's birthday is Buddhabot's birthday. So so with Jupiter, so that registration has been completed. We've addressed everything, and so I think within 24 hours, I don't know, maybe 4th of July might delay it, but by Monday, I would expect we would be fully supported and verified on Jupiter, which, as I say, has a ripple effect going out to all the other wallets and platforms. So that really helps with the optics of this project and getting more eyeballs and awareness, and maybe helping with. We also have applications out with Coinbase, and more than an application with Exodus. Exodus, I have a historical relationship with through banks, BANX, and so that's public record, so you can suss that out yourself. A lot of things you can find just on Grokopedia. There's a whole encyclopedia article about me there. So on Thursday we talked about, so that's Jupiter, that's the $2 million XPRIZE, and the next thing up is what we talked about on Thursday. Just recap, these are some of the different use cases for BROK. BROK, I won't go through all this again because in case there are, but yeah, just quickly. So veterans are ones that I've talked about a lot. So imagine a veteran that has and often veterans, especially the ones that have been, I mean, they're all highly skilled, trained. You have to pass a bar to join the military. So these are and they're disciplines that have got all kinds of great mental strengths and training and tools and to access, but often they've been through great trauma, right? And may have maybe want less social interaction, or maybe they want more social interaction. Maybe they have a little bit of PTSD or a lot of PTSD. If they have an intellect, if they have agency, and if they want to be self-sovereign, which is what they fought for, then chances are that they'd rather have their own business if they could see a path to doing so than getting a job. And often the jobs that they get don't really respect their sacrifice and their skills. So I'm kind of passionate about this. Highly skilled part of our population, and even if they're missing a limb or whatever they've been through, the BROK will be their loyal defender in terms of protecting their assets and building empires if they want to, or lifestyle businesses for comfort. And BROK is measured by created a new measure for output, what we call FTEP. And like horsepower measures how many was used to help cross the chasm between early adopters and the early majority, and gain acceptance among miners who are reluctant to give up their ponies and horses. With the introduction of horsepower as a measure of output, they realized that a machine could they could give their, they could look after their horses and keep their horses if they wanted to, and give them a much better life, and leave literally the heavy lifting to the machine. And so they measured what the output of these machines were in horsepower, and that at that point a switch literally clicked, right? And the switch went on. It's like, wow, I can, one machine, cheaper to feed, only needs, the fuel is much less expensive than the fodder for a horse, and it never, many of the things that AI does, but to a lesser degree. So AI is almost kind of an amplification of that concept. What we're missing, though, is this idea of this fear. We have this fear of humans losing their jobs, which is a big part of what this XPRIZE that we're entering about. So it's great. It's a great idea. I can see why Diamandis wanted to do this with Google. It's, I think, very good for society and great for us. But rather than thinking about ponies that are replaced or human jobs that are replaced, it's like we're giving humans who are not ponies, humans that have cognitive ability at any level, practically, to magnify and amplify their production. So have like the equivalent of, well, BROK, the goal is to achieve 500 FTEP, right? So that's like 100. So if a 100 horsepower engine replaced 100 horses, or had the pulling power of 100 horses, BROK has the pulling power of 100 people, and measured in terms of productivity. So right now it's not quite there, and keep adding to it, 20 plus now FTEP. And even if that is extraordinary, even if it was just 20 FTEP, and even if we don't get to the full 100 FTEP at launch, it's attainable in my view. And but you can have a thriving business with 20 employees. So imagine every veteran, instead of getting a job, creates a company. BROK creates the company for them, the structure, the setup, the accounting, and even marketing and business plans. There's got something really exciting to tell you about on the business plan side. But all of that, BROK does that for you, and in many cases executes that for you. Could fill out forms for you that then you need to check and run by or contracts. In many cases, and if not always, if you're a lawyer, will have to look at it at some point to ensure that it meets legal requirements. Because BROK's not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investment advisor. This isn't investment advice. This is investment activism. Same thing with BROK every day. BROK will be not be providing official investment financial advice, like a certified financial advisor or a CPA, certified private accountant, or it's BROK. We're not attempting to get it certified as a lawyer or a doctor or a investment advisor or an accountant or any of those things. So, but BROK is your super robo genius banker that is there to check things and do complete forms, advise on plans, financing strategies, how to get the money, helping you to get the money, getting you the money, even far beyond the budgeting tools that have been around for a long, long time, or provided by many already. This is way, way, way beyond that. So, so that's just one use case for veterans, that in any business, whatever their passion is, that's one use case. So others, artists. So I posted an article about, not an article, just a long post about Blondie. And my parents were musicians, and one was a craftsman. And my biological father is a musician. My mother was a musician. My stepfather was more of a craftsman. He was literally a jack of all trades. And but what he really loved was carving and creating kind of folk art. And he would do everything from chainsaw carvings to chess sets, hand carved chess sets. And that was what he loved, right? And he created some really cool pieces, but he didn't ever think that that could be a business. I don't think, or he dreamed it, but he never pursued that as a business. I think his life would have been a lot happier if he would have been. You know, in Blondie, her case, she had a manager that, let's just say, did a very poor job for her, and she wound up with an unexpected tax bill. I can personally relate, have personally experienced similar situations where people with the certifications that you should be able to trust make egregious errors that are, if not malicious, they're negligent. And that happens. You know, it's one of the oldest stories. There's, I think, so many movies about bad agents, you know, and often even, you know, family don't make good agents. You know, just the Michael Jackson movie, although he became, you know, the greatest of all time, he also suffered a great deal at the hands of his manager, who was also his father, right? So, you know, there's so many stories of artists and every different actors, musicians that are exploited. Every, you know, actors and models are constantly wanting to be discovered, and they're become targets for predators that prey on people's dreams. And that's, you know, a lot of people, they get burnt badly and they lose their faith in humanity. I can understand. And I think sometimes that's like, sometimes I wonder, why have I had to go through experiences and, you know, unsavory experiences with but like everyone has, I think, these days, as scams increase. And we have all been exposed to varying degrees. And sometimes the most successful people in the world are the ones that have been most viciously attacked and maligned. So that's maybe necessary. Maybe that's the training program for those that would achieve the really ambitious dreams. And there's no greatness in having ambitious dreams either. So we are thankful for people that want to take on things that we don't want to. We can't do everything ourselves all the time. So we're thankful for people that take leadership and people that fill in the gaps and people that do every job. Because I believe everyone has their own genius and their own perfect work, their own passion and their own dreams to fulfill, and is the hero of their own journey. And BROK will just take away be your guardian along the way, in many respects, but in primarily protecting your assets with built-in, baked-in, you know, no agenda to enrich for personal enrichment above your own self-sovereignty. So that's a huge. Artists that I talk to really appreciate that, and being raised by artists and seeing, I think that's maybe part of the reason, just occurring to me right now while we're speaking, maybe I didn't become a banker purely as to be a rebel against my parents who were artists. Maybe it was kind of to protect, you know, because I saw how they were exploited and saw how their friends and other artists were exploited. Maybe that was actually a deeper part of my my story that I'm even aware of. You know, you want to be, you know, you want to be really be everyone's knight in shiny armor and be tough and be the rebel. But you know, a lot of times that is to, you know, you can, maybe it's, you know, sometimes awareness pattern recognition and foresight are curses, right? Because you see bad things that are happening that people are oblivious to it, and you can't help everybody. But maybe we can with BROK, because BROK could literally be in everyone's pocket in the world. And so there's a real mission behind this. It would have a huge impact on society and civilization and communities at every level. I say everything true is scalable. And so everything true, so the self-organization, that's what we see when an acorn turns into a mighty oak tree, literally out of thin air. That massive tree that is used for fuel, that's used for building materials, it's used for fine furniture, and all these wonderful things that that sturdy oak tree can do, born from without any effort, just sunlight and the right conditions, it does what it is intended to do. And that's what we want to do. We want to provide the fertile soil, the protection, the sunlight, and BROK is part of that to be your personal gardener. That's just kind of rolling this morning with new concepts and metaphors. But think of BROK is going to help identify the seed of genius within you and nurture that, feed that, and help it to grow. And without an ulterior motive. And humans can't help themselves. I think they're just everyone probably has some degree of selfishness. You have to actually, ego is not entirely evil. Ego is a container, a vessel, a point of view. Without a point of view, you can't really construct any thought or anything. It has to have a starting point to navigate through. But it's good to be aware that we are much more than our egos. I am much more than my ego. I have an ego too. But I am more than that. And so when you realize that you're more than that, and you can, there's levels to that, and you can extend and connect beyond that, then you become you have more peace, I think, and also more liberty and freedom to follow your passion and achieve it, and your fewer limitations. So that went in unexpected directions, but these use cases are stories, really, right? So the painter, the artist, the veteran, imagine like those who are on the spectrum, who are neurodivergent. There are now, I'll say that we have guardrails in place, right? So that none of us get in trouble for painting too far outside of the lines and doing harm, right? So there are some guardrails. And I believe in law, and law is a core principle to the evolution and stability of civilization. So there are core fundamental rights and laws baked into the American Constitution. Again, happy 4th of July, freedom, where we celebrate freedom. And so there are guardrails in place so that BROK won't enable you to break the law, the basic human laws and human rights, and so that's for your people's own protection as well. So because neurodivergence can translate into genius for good or bad, right? And then when you amplify that, you get amplified evil genius or amplified good genius, right? So we want more good geniuses in the world, not more evil geniuses in the world. So, we all are, and when what is wrong to when we're not judges either. So, unless we are a judge. And you need BROK too if you're a judge, because you transact and get paid, and BROK has ethics built in there as well. Actually, probably pretty robust. Actually, I should do some testing on that, because keep in mind that some of BROK's foundation, BROK's father, if you will, is the Buddha bot, as well as myself. So so there's a pretty strong ethical basis and foundation, as well as legal guardrails. But truth and without bias and truth seeking is essential. So that's why there's some tools that we won't use, because it's going to become, I'm continually amazed at how few people are talking about the risk of engaging with AI that is where the seed is bad. The seed is important, and not just the conditions, but the origins of a thing are important and set the course for the life of an entity. So the initial conditions are very important, and not just how you, and because you're going to form AI, and AI is going to form you. Anything you interact with affects you. So it's important that thing not be toxic for your personal, if you care about personal development and evolution. So you think about using an AI developed by a foreign adversary. Again, I don't want to get political, but just connect the dots. You want to be cognizant and aware of the AI, of who is behind the AI, and what the ultimate objectives here. Our objectives are freedom, truth. There are 5 things that I'm known for in every enterprise that I've ever done, are often baked and published into the DNA of the organization, and that's privacy, security, self-sovereignty, innovation, and community. Those 5 things are kind of immutable, just like the 4 categories of the Ingram evaluation matrix: strategic fit, feasibility, financial impact, and risk. Those are 4 immutable categories with all kinds of subcategories beneath them that allows you to have explainable decision-making for artificial intelligence that we need and that regulators demand. And that's a good example of where regulators actually have it right. They're right to require bankers to explain what it is, how it is their AI made their decisions. And again, this is ethics, and is going to become ethics and decision making and rational, logical decision making, ethical decision making. These things are going to become more important to society. It's like, who knows, that philosophy degree that we used to parents used to be concerned about their children getting degrees in philosophy, art, culture, anthropology, things like that, psychology. Those might actually be some of the most valuable fields in which you would have an education. As AI does more and more of the heavy lifting in operations and engineering, but above all, the innovators and creators of the world are going to be really already being blessed by artificial intelligence, and we want to cultivate that and win the prize to accelerate that. And I think that XPRIZE will be exactly 100% behind what we're trying to do here. So again, another reason that we'll win. So again, I believe that good always wins in the end. It's negentropy versus entropy. We wouldn't have a universe if negentropy, the force of self-organization, where things do not decay. So yes, things decay. That's entropy. But there's also, we wouldn't have an evolution or a civilization that's evolving and doing bigger projects. We wouldn't have languages becoming more diverse and expanding, and more words being added to our vocabulary. There's all kinds of, throughout the universe, every beautiful thing is the result of a self-organizing system. Trees are awfully beautiful, aren't they? No one had to do any programming to make that tree happen. That tree, or maybe the universal intelligence of all things. And I think that there is this universal intelligence, which is the substrate. And I've done there's math to, I've done the math as well. And I'll put that out in a math wiki at some point. But I've referenced a few of the calculations in some of my posts, but there, is a real case to be made for an intelligence. It's just another, and we've come at it from, others have said that we live in a hologram, as the holographic universe. Others have said that we live in a simulation. Well, a simulation is actually getting pretty close to the notion of a universal intelligence, or a foundational intelligence from which matter emerges, right? Because if there were simulations, someone had to make a simulation. Games are kind of made, right? And so forth. So anyway, not to go down that rabbit hole too far, but it's very interesting to me. And those are the kinds of things that working deeply in AI over long periods of time, even if you were not philosophical to begin with, I don't think you can avoid it when you start thinking about consciousness deeply, because you have to think about consciousness deeply to have any potential possibility of instantiating artificial general intelligence or super intelligence. And you need to have certain fundamentals which are not common sense at all, like quadrivalent logic, which is inclusive of but far beyond normal binary logic, and more closely mirrors what it is that we call reality or illusion, or illusion that feels like reality, or reality that feels like illusion, or the dream, or whatever it is that you philosophically want to imagine the universe to be. But with that's not a problem for Feynman. Other quantum physicists say if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't, or if you think if you're not confused or perplexed or whatever by quantum physics, you don't get it. That may have been the case, and it still is a mind bender, and they needed to hammer that concept. It's like, this is really different from the reality that we all think that we live in, and most people still think that we live in. But if you train your mind in quadrivalent logic to start thinking in a quadrivalent way versus a binary way, so that means yes, no, yes and no, neither yes nor no. Even that's an oversimplification, but that expands your universe and your mind tremendously. And then things that didn't make sense, all of a sudden it is actually starts to become a lot easier to understand the things that didn't make sense before. So these were the pioneers in quantum physics. They were coming from a binary worldviews, and it just blew their minds. And then they were trying to blow everyone else's minds. But now we have generations that if they are the curious among us, that have been studying and thinking, and the polymaths and the autodidacts who've been studying and research and thinking and evolving and more rapidly than many that have followed more traditional paths of learning. That's the way they've been trained to think. And so that's what is creating a new paradigm, new possibilities and that's part of what we need in the singularity economy to make the singularity economy everything that it could be. So those are pretty well covered the use cases. Freelancers, investors. I've only got a few minutes, 1 minute left, but also had some really interesting. I'm going to go a little bit over. Okay. So I'll tell you what the other things I'm going to talk about are. We're going to do the the small buy. I want everybody to keep some dry powder for the launch when you're able to sign up for BROK, and you're going to get things for free. But we still want to hopefully some will see the benefit and utility and want to upgrade and things like that, so we can get some real revenue happening and real traction happening with BROK pre-launches, even ahead of the major official launch. But so I guess I'm not going to get to everything. I want to talk about, here's a biohack that I mentioned on Thursday, but we have people often on these calls that are from the other hemisphere that missed the call. So I talked about this L-theanine, which is Gary Brecka's number one on Gary Brecka's list, who's a well-known biohacker, and pretty good stuff for cognitive enhancement. That's all I'll say on that. But I'm not recommending any brand or sponsored by any brand or anything like that. And if I ever am, I'll let you know. So trading systems. So that is, so I was talking to one of the investors actually. So haven't given updates on investors. We've got 2 or 3, well, I say 2 or 3 because we've got, because they're in various different stages. So we've got 3 convertible notes out, folks doing their due diligence and contemplating investments. But one of them, one of the more recent ones that came up is looking at a large, maybe the whole amount of the raise in a convertible note. Told me that they were developing or having someone that had a trading system that they wanted to automate. And so there's been lots of discussion about, lots of hype actually about OpenClaw and different AI models doing trading and getting extraordinary returns. So that's kind of a neat idea, right? It's a business that you could have in addition to, maybe you'd have more than one business, more than one 0-person enterprise. Maybe you have 2 0-person enterprises, or you hire one person, you hire a couple of humans and to each one that has a BROK, right? There's lots of fun things to do. But one that I haven't talked about much, which is a huge industry in its own, is trading. So with BROK, we can give access to anybody at any level to use institutional level tools and methods and systems to trading strategies in markets that are legally available once they're available. So poly markets, betting platforms, which aren't legal yet in America, but I paper traded systems with BROK, and BROK did pretty well. I think that was months ago. I did that even before I launched Spock, just to see all the different possibilities out there. And so that was actually one of the first ideas I had as a ZPE for people, is just to turn BROK loose on, give BROK just a few $100s and let BROK go to work on multiplying that a lot. I think paper trading, it's like 960% paper trades, not real markets. So you might say, well, why am I doing anything else? Well, because that's nothing compared to what we're going to do with Spock and BROK, but somebody that wanted to focus on that would be a very good business. And so that's what I had a conversation with this one investor. I was looking at, has a portfolio and looking at doing other things, looking at a convertible note with us, but also looking at trading systems, and they had the formula, but not the execution side. And so they were getting signals, like good buy signals, but they didn't know how to set, they couldn't automate their stop losses very well and things like that. For some of you who are shaking your head like that's dead easy, right? For people with basic AI skills, we have advanced AI skills, advanced AI engineering here. And I've already done that. The trick is to finding the formula. So And the trick is also to find a differentiated formula. So often you might be surprised, even though you're not a trader or don't have history in trading, you have a unique insights about a company, about an industry. You can amplify that and utilize that and monetize that with a trading strategy based on what you know, combined with discipline of BROK. So there's some really interesting possibilities there for everybody. Oh, and finally, I just got one. So I told you. So I've been invited to be co-host of a television show by a television studio, and the president of the studio sent me his business plan. So I finally got that and asked me to run it through BROK. It's amazing. So I wouldn't be, imagine this. Imagine if, wouldn't this be cool if BROK actually got hired to be like a CFO for a traditional enterprise, or for a medium-sized enterprise that's looking, instead of hiring a CFO, the CEO leaves that position vacates or leaves that position vacant and brings in BROK. So I haven't discussed this yet with the president, but I think the president, when he sees what BROK has done with his plan, might envision wanting to have BROK as part of their team. So I haven't even worked out the economics for that, but I think it would be more than a $100 a month subscription for that level of service and responsibility. Over, CFO is supervised by a CEO anyway. So, and CFOs are often, they have CPAs working for them and CPA firms, et cetera, working for them. So actually that might be a very easy position for BROK to, sort of a natural position for BROK to fill, which I've talked about before, just kind of in passing, but now I'm seeing like, whoa, this is very apropos and now. So that's what I wanted to one of the things that I mentioned I would share early on that I've gotten to, and I'm only 7 minutes over. So, and I think that is, those are the big points. So we've got a new goal, a new prize to win that is really on our roadmap anyway. So we just extra incentive, guaranteed success, basically, amplified success. If the more successful we are with the BROK launch, the better chance we have of winning, and the timing is just perfect. This August 17th. We have up to the August 17th, and we'll probably use every day. We'll get the registration in this weekend, and I will have announcements out between now and Thursday. But at the very latest, we'll have a 6 p.m. call on Thursday. And right now, so just last thing before we go, let's all do a little, really just, it's more about participation and numbers of participation rather than the amount, but the amount that I'm going to put in, if everyone would, and this is an investment activism, not advice, do your own research, but open your wallet. That sounds good, right? So I've got my Soulflare dev wallet open, and I'm just going to buy 5,000. Either make it even easier, put whether it's your purchases, ideally purchase an amount of SPOC tokens that starts with 5. So 500, 5,000, 5,100, 52, 53, 54, 5,500, 55,000, whatever. It's like, it's not about whether it's, I don't care if it's just a few dollars, but like, let's, as sort of like making this concrete, our pack to the community for the benefit of the community. Whatever small amount it is that you're putting in to hold and not to sell, and keep some dry powder for Thursday so that we can drive some, because none of these transactions yet, they're really helping build our base for BROK launch. So very meaningful, very helpful. Everything that you do today and every day up till now, and everything that you put in for now, and also it'll give you credits for free access to BROK, and I'll publish all those rules in the next days ahead before Thursday as well. But I've put the outlines out there, no surprises. But everything I've said, I'm just going to put in writing, and for the rules, make sure it's all legal and all that. And yeah, do a small amount starting with, like, whether it's 500 SPOC, or which is like probably less than $1 or so, or like it's probably like $2 or something, or 5,000 or whatever amount. Okay, amount starting with 5,000. So I am doing that right now. Boom. So 1.6 Solana, 0.16 Solana, that would get you an amount, for example. But I think it's kind of slow. I don't know. Are a lot of you doing this right now? Okay, there it went through. Okay, so that's it. So very exciting. And all the pieces are coming together very well. And I'm still, and we're really just keeping along, sticking with the plan. And it's like a prospiracy, right? You know what a prospiracy is? It's the opposite of a conspiracy. Prospiracy is where you imagine or realize that with the right mindset, that forces and unseen guardians and protectors and your community, and you have a tribe out there that is coalescing with you and around you to for your benefit. So I love the idea of start thinking that about the prospiracy rather than conspiracy, and how things are how things are aligning in your benefit behind the scenes, and doors opening, and the right people, the right contests arising at the right time, and attracting those people. So if you're not into that, this isn't for you. But if you want to grow and expand and build an empire, your own empire, self-sovereignty, or your lifestyle, a comfortable lifestyle with self-sovereignty and freedom at its core, happy 4th of July. That's what we're all about. Live long and prosper, everyone.